was scribbling furiously, but if you want to hit any highlights again, it would be great. If we have the time. I know Liza's got a big agenda, so you can always send me that sort of feedback later too.
Well,
all right. Sorry.
I can just sum up quickly that our kindergarten teachers are very excited to incorporate the learning of standards outside, and the more they have done this, which now is approximately 3 half days a week, they have seen a dramatic decrease in some of the challenging behaviors that were occurring in the classroom, and kids just kind of overall happier within the kindergarten program. So it's been very beneficial to us.
Great. Nice to know that.
And I was talking about, I took our school art teacher with me, and she had never been to anything like Inside Out or In Bloom. So it really pushed her out of her comfort zone. So as a team, we were inspired by the Quest team that the school was offering there. So we've reached back out to Peter to see if we can't do some collaboration between our school and their school. We're going to go and visit and speak with all their specialists as well. So, and to answer your question, Liza, we have had those structures on our schoolyard for 10 years. We replace them about every 2 to 3 years. Mark Ranganese comes and he does the structures with the kids, but the best part about Mark is his magic and the stories that he tells and how he leads the children through these incredible stories that he tells. He can take any child and just have them sort of eating out of his hands. So while it's great, you know, for us to be able to do that as well, to build those structures, he really has such magic with the kids. So he goes around the state and builds them. And I think Peter had learned from Mark how to do that. So that was cool.
That's great. And Ellen, did you catch Robin's feedback?
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, Robin's telling you, I'm just going to go grab Dawn.
Great. Good. How efficient. Hi, Robin.
Hi. I was just telling Liza that I really enjoyed the conferences, the second one, and this time I went out of my comfort zone and took the art and then the music one, and really enjoyed both of them. Going outside and getting the materials for the art and doing that. And I've done that with the kids and they have really enjoyed that. And then the music one, I thought we were going to just sing songs and everything, but then it was the building of the hut that I really enjoyed and inspired me. And then I went back to my class and got my 5th grade buddies to help construct it.
Awesome.
So, and I usually go out, usually 3 afternoons a week for outdoors.
And what grade do you teach?
Kindergarten.
Okay.
In Marlboro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we either go out to our village area that we go and explore the woods, or we just stay by the school, the pavilion, and look for animal tracks and stuff around where we built our hut and stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Yeah.
So Don's on his way, and I couldn't figure out a better way to do this screen. So I'm just gonna scoot over and make room for him. And know that someone was supposed to join us who had great information about natural playgrounds and that sort of thing, who can't attend anymore. And that's okay, we can get that information and share it out later. And what I've asked Don to do today is basically answer any questions that we have, give us a general guideline of how to apply for grants, how to look for grants that suit our purposes, and he's just willing to have a conversation and be a resource for us. So I would say feel free to ask questions. And we have him with us until just about 5 o'clock. And if we don't need him for that long, that's okay. We can move on to the next part of our agenda. And actually, do you guys want to take a minute and just introduce yourselves? Because I've met you all, but I'm not sure you all have met each other. Yeah, okay. Do you want to start, Robin, since you're here?
I'm Robin Fairfield. I'm the kindergarten teacher at Marlborough School, and this year I have 24 kids.
In Marlborough, New Hampshire.
Marlborough, New Hampshire.
Yep.
My name is Marie Robinson. I'm a pre-K to 12 building principal in Stacyville, Maine. I'm also very interested in this whole topic twofold. I'm working on my dissertation, which is focused on nature and learning, and I'm looking closely at kindergarten programming. And also as a building principal, I'm trying to really make some changes that will help students and, basically their overall well-being with some of the changes that have happened in public education. We're seeing a lot of challenges that I think simply getting outdoors can help to solve. So we're trying to bring that about.
That's great. I see that my school is really struggles with the social emotional
Exactly.
of the kids, and it goes up. It's a K to 8 school.
Okay.
And by getting my kids out, this is like the 3rd year I've taken the kids outside,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really helped them better themselves, to get to know nature and just to be one with themselves.
So have you seen that in terms of, say, like the first and second graders at this point?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first year that we've done this, so I'm excited for, the future, actually.
Yeah. They always say they want to come back to kindergarten, and I just say, because we're the best.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And I'm Mindy Beltramo, and so I've been in the Bedford School District for the last 18 years as their school librarian in a K-4 school. 10 years ago, we did a complete schoolyard reconstruction to make it a nature-based schoolyard. There's something out there for everybody, and we had a great curriculum that was science-based, and we had science backpacks, and there's a whole level of inquiry that was going on out there, and all the kids kind of saw themselves as explorers. But the district curriculum changed, the focus changed, and so we have an incredible schoolyard, but it is certainly not used in the way that it could be. I'm opening an early learning, nature-based, Reggio-inspired preschool at the Canterbury Shaker Village next fall, so the fall of 19, for 3 to 5 year olds. So we have 700 acres to explore, and we'll be outside every single day. So is the goal.
That sounds great. What was the school that you're at now?
So I'm in Bedford, New Hampshire. So it's Peter Woodbury School. I mean, the schoolyard is absolutely phenomenal. It's a one of a kind. And we raised $150,000 in a downward economy. It's all grant and a donation funded. There's no district dollars in our schoolyard. So,
wow. But
it's absolutely amazing. Just not utilized the way it could be.
Oh, that's such a shame. Yeah.
Yes. So
I just want to, Dawn's with us now. Let's see how far back we can get them. Yeah, sure. And yeah, we're just cozy around the laptop. Do you want to get started, or do you want us to share some interests? What would be?
Some interest would be helpful for starts, and then I can talk. I can do some stream of consciousness about getting started with proposals. Finding funders is the hardest, so we'll postpone talking about that. We'll talk about some suggestions about some ways to just get started if you haven't had experience.
Okay. Does anyone have a specific question, or is it most helpful for Don to just start sharing his knowledge with us?
Such as it is.
We can do that after.
Well, we're obviously looking for grants. So we're a 501c3 for the new preschool. You know, we did a lot of grant writing 10 years ago, but I'm sure, you know, I don't want to say that the keywords have changed a little bit. So I'm not sure where are people going these days for nature-based grants, healthy living, active living for early learners or for students in general. I think being a private school, our challenges are maybe a little bit greater than the public schools, even though we're a 501c3. So I would be interested to know where to go for those. We're also at a national historical site, being the Canterbury Shaker Village. So if there's any connections to that would be super. So, and the arts. So I guess I'm looking at history, arts, and nature together.
That's really good, because that opens that expands your opportunities considerably. Because one of the things I was going to suggest that for everyone is whatever it is you're interested in, is to spend some time thinking about all the different angles from which you can approach it, and all the potential beneficiaries, and all the potential funders that could get jazzed about some aspect of your program. So you may have folks who really aren't interested in early childhood education per se, but they might be interested in the arts and cultivating new generations of art appreciation, or new sites. And the same with history. One of the things I encourage everybody to do is think about all the potential beneficiaries and all the different ways that you can describe or characterize what you're doing that would appeal to different funders. The proposal writing aspect, the proposal itself is really all about matching you with funders who have the same or similar interests.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really the essence of the searching for funders component too, is looking for funders who share any of your interests. And if you have a lot of different potential interests that you can offer, if you can talk about early childhood education, environmental education, arts and recreation, history, preserving historical sites, introducing people to the arts of any age. If your programs or projects or facilities
leave that turned down.
a broader community, not just children, but seniors, people with disabilities, more different aspects that you can identify legitimately without compromising what you're doing, and highlight the potential funder, the better. And then as you begin to identify funders, they'll make it clear what their interests are. And so you'll be highlighting that aspect or that element of what you're doing that appeals the most to them. And again, as long as it doesn't compromise.
So where do you go to find your potential funders? Because so Grant Watch, for instance, you have to pay to do Grant Watch. So, there's the New Hampshire nonprofits, they have grants that are there. We've looked at the Charitable Foundation. So we've contacted banks. We had used Aunt Annie's macaroni. We had gotten a grant from them. We'd gotten a grant for our school from Lowe's. They have so the public schools, Lowe's, if you didn't know, Lowe's has a really great funding source for nature-based and schoolyard, anything to get kids outside and be active and so forth. Like, we had a $5,000 grant from Lowe's, which was exceedingly helpful.
Wow, that's great.
Yep. And so then they even have, if you have a neighborhood Lowe's, then they, they did a lot of labor with us to get things done as well. We also went to we went to New Hampshire Neurospine at the time. And so a physician, because they were concerned about kids being outside and building muscle and bone and so forth. So they were very substantial in their donation too. But we serve, we have 500, a school of 535 kids. So we had a large population that would be influenced by this funding. I'm looking at a small private school that has, just starting up. So we have no history, and the number of kids that we have will certainly be far fewer than a public school.
I don't think that should be a deterrent, and you really hit all the usual suspects. You hit all the places that I was going to suggest for starts. And the conventional wisdom is to start looking close to home. Look for funders, whether they be foundation funders or business funders, corporate funders, that know who you are and can see what the benefits would be to the community, in the case of corporate funders, to their employees, families. So Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, all the local giving programs, Target sometimes do. So looking at local funders for starts makes perfect sense. They printed out, I just did a very quick search on natural classrooms, and I put up some things that I thought had some remote nexus to it that might work. I'm seeing a lot on gardens, but I saw Home Depot, Walmart. Interesting you mentioned physicians, because I found something from the American Academy of Dermatology, which is not so much in kids building muscle, but kids staying out in the sun.
We did get a grant from them as well. Yeah.
We're looking for ways to incorporate some shade providing structures and tying it into skin cancer prevention programs, which again, you could do for your students and you could do for the entire community for the demonstration site. So that's the kind of creativity, and that makes perfect sense. As I said, I think you hit all the usual suspects, and the fact that you're 501c3 as opposed to a public school, I don't think that's a deterrent. Many funders are only interested in 501c3s. Quite a few are interested in both public schools, public institutions of higher education, 501c3s. If you are on a 501c3, it's been 10 years since you were actively grant seeking. One of the practical suggestions I was going to have for all of you is to do some homework now and pull together all the supporting documentation that funders will typically ask for. So they want to see your 501c3 letter, proof that you are a nonprofit. They'll probably want to see your 990 if you found 990. They'll often ask to see a list of your board of directors. And you're looking at those things for a couple of reasons. One is they want to see that you've been around for a while. If you're looking at a local funder, I think that specifically is on your board of directors. Your community supports and endorses what you do. So I would encourage you, just as a matter of practice, is to make sure that you have all that documentation updated and readily available. This is what typically happens, and you probably experience this as well. When you stumble on a funder, sometimes the deadline is very close. And so you want to not have to be scrambling around at that point to look for that kind of documentation. In the same vein, what I would suggest you do, the other practical suggestion I was going to start is find, and we'll talk about finding funding generically more and more and brainstorm about it, but find a funding opportunity that it matches what you're interested in. I found one, and I'll share this, and I'll send Liza the link that comes from our database, which has the information about it. It's one of the things that I am frustrating frequency. It's a funder or a funding opportunity that looks perfect, but when you look at the eligibility requirements, we're not eligible for it because this is a Canadian funder that funds Canadian schools. But this is a funder who's interested in schoolyard greening and outdoor classrooms, park revitalization, butterfly gardens, community gardens, natural playgrounds, citizen science, bioblitzes, which I'm not real familiar with, trail building, neighborhood parks, recycling and composting, indoor and outdoor classrooms, and outdoor environmental education. Wow, this is exactly what we need. And then so I do what I do. The first thing I always do is be eligible for it. Of course, in this case, this is only for Canadians. The funder is affiliated with TD banks. Maybe the local banks all have some kind of community or civic giving. They have similar programs. If you have a TD bank, you might check and see if they're available. If they have something comparable, I should say. But this particular funder, it's called the TD Friends of the Environment Foundation.
Oh.
The links.
John, I lost your volume.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't-
not hearing anything either.
I see your lips moving, but
Um,
Oh.
I still have my voice, I think.
okay.
Now
I
you
hear it.
can hear?
Yeah, I can hear it now.
Better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What I did is I looked at this particular funder and I looked at the online application format. And that's the other thing you'll encounter a lot is everyone wants you to submit things online. And one thing you should do if that's the case is before you log in and you register with that online portal, because sometimes it takes a little while to get registered and get everybody listed who you need to. That's particularly the case with government funders. If you go through grants.gov or federal agencies, sometimes there's a multi-step process to get validated in their systems.
Oh. Okay, so I think we're gonna lose you in 10 minutes.
And then we'll come back again.
And yeah, okay.
Anyway, long story short, what I did is I went to this particular funder's website or online portal. And what I would suggest, one thing you might want to do is find something like this particular one. I can send Liza the information about this. And follow their particular guidelines and complete their application, whether you're eligible or not, or if it's one you are eligible for, but the deadline has passed. You go ahead and complete it to the best of your ability. Because number one, it's those of you who have not pursued grant funding, it will give you a very good idea of the kinds of questions and the kinds of information funders want and need. And if this is a project that's on your front burner, something you'll be actively looking for, it's an opportunity for you to gather all that information about this particular project. What the project is, how much it's going to cost, who will benefit from it, how you'll know if you're successful. You'll already have that down in one place. And one of the things you'll discover is that writing a proposal is really various from the same thing. Everybody wants the same information. They may want it in a different order, a slightly different format, but they want the same information. If you have blocked out or roughed out a proposal that is pretty close to what you want, and then again, you're in a position when you find that opportunity, which is due in 2 days, to do some cutting and pasting, and you've got a good running start, what you need to do. And again, I'm going to give you a sense of what this particular one has a budget template in it. And some are better. This is thinking about what do we need to do this project? And what are those things going to cost us? And of those, what are we going to be asking us to do? Some of you may be familiar with logic models, which is another way of approaching the same process where you identify your long-term goals and you identify what do we need to get there? What resources do we need? What actions do we need to take? So the resources that you need are the ones that in many cases you'll be asking for. Is any of this making sense so far?
It is, yeah. Did you say Liza would send us a link?
Yeah, what I can do is I'll send you a link to this. And I found this in one of our subscription databases, which we have access to here. But I'll send the link to Liza and she can send it on to you. And that's the format that this information comes in. And it will have a link to this funder's website. Follow that. The other thing about this particular format, the subscription database, is I searched on, I think it was National Playgrounds for this, and this particular funder came up, but it also lists the other key words that this funder appears under. Environmental education, parks and recreation, recycling, environmental studies, environmental conservation, natural resources. So that may give you some clues of other keywords that are key in searching that you can be looking under.
Yes.
So what I'll do is I'll send you a link to this. It will look like this one. Click on the different tabs. And then one is eligibility, which is pretty cool. Canadian.
So LL Bean So you're in Maine. So LL Bean has donations also.
Yeah.
So they had a great grant offering, except you have to live in Maine. So you know, I spend a lot of money at LL Bean here in Concord, New Hampshire, and you have to. They don't want to give back to Concord, New Hampshire. So, but if you're in Maine, they will happily support. So, particularly if you have a number of low-income students.
Yeah.
So you're going to want your demographic for your school as well, so that you can show that as evidence.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
That's true for Darn Tough Socks. If you live in Vermont, they'll make a donation, but not to live in Vermont.
What is it? Super Tough Socks?
Darn Tough?
Darn tough. I thought you're okay. Super tough. Darn tough.
I think they only give to entities in Vermont.
EMS, so we had gotten a grant from EMS for snowshoes. So, you know, we wanted to have a snowshoe club. So, you know, we were granted 12 pair of snowshoes, which was awesome. So Bean might do something similar to that as well.
Okay, yeah.
Whole Kids Foundation, we've gotten a gardening grant from them, and it was pretty easy and straightforward. And
What's that one, Liza? That was Whole Kids?
Yeah, like it's a brand of Whole Foods.
Uh-huh.
So the Whole Kids Foundation, and they actually sent gardening curriculum and beekeeping curriculum.
Oh, wow, that's great.
But do you have to have Whole Foods in your proximity to do that?
No, I mean the closest Whole Foods to Keene is an hour away, I think.
Really? Okay.
But sometimes you do, and oftentimes when you find a business or corporate funder, they'll fund things that are in their geographic vicinity, again, because they want the publicity, they want their employees to benefit, their families to benefit. But it just varies from funder to funder, but it's not uncommon for them to have geographic.
Do you have any success with like business relationships? Like, for instance, I'm trying to, well, it was suggested to me to reach out to corporations as far as the preschool goes, that have similar lifestyle choices, right? So, you know, we've got a mountain biking park that's up the road. So the people that are mountain biking, they like to be outside. They're doing things outside. If they have children that are outside, maybe the mountain biking park would support, you know, our school. A ski mountain perhaps would be supporting the school, you know, because that's a lifestyle choice. So a lot of those businesses are trying to get those lifestyles promoted.
Right, and they're trying to cultivate the next generation of consumers.
Yes.
But yeah, no, that's exactly right. And that's part of matching up your interest with their interest and identifying how what you're doing and ties in and fits so well with what they do, and how they can benefit as well as you can benefit. So outdoor gear manufacturers.
I was just going to add very similarly.
So Emily's joined us.
Yes, hi. Hello, everybody. I was a little late.
Hi, Emily.
But just to add to that, for anybody who's in Maine, I know that York Hospital in Southern Maine has a similar initiative all about getting kids outside, getting kids healthy. And so they support a lot of grant funding for organizations that get kids outside. And
Did you say York Hospital?
York Hospital, yeah, in Southern Maine.
We're in very northern Maine, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know how far their reach is, but.
Thank you.
And we have less than a minute, and the computer's going to kick us off, I think, and we'll log back on.
Have you had any luck with like GoFundMe sources or anything like that?
We have, our teachers have had a lot of luck with small projects for, on Donors Choose. And I know I have one teacher who's now considered an ambassador because she's had so many projects funded, but she's started small, and we've been trying to share that with other teachers. But for bigger projects, I'm thinking about something, not necessarily right away, but developing a natural space outdoors. We do have a garden, but I'd love to have it expanded and do something sort of like this inquiry-based, you know, outdoor space that can be used on a regular basis for for teachers, and it's not too far. It's just kind of right out back. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about.
And those would be for teachers from the surrounding school districts or from your region? Or
It's mostly just our schools right where we are. Our closest neighbor is about 25 miles away. So certainly it would be available and open to them, but I don't know how convenient it would be on a regular basis.
So the one thing that we found with gardens and you know, that was grant funded 10 years ago, we had 28 beds. We had 28 classrooms. So we had 28 beds, one for every classroom. And they were, you know, like 4 by 10 foot beds. And we had a garden cottage. You really should come to our schoolyard. So it's
See it for sure.
what you want to do. But the sustainability is really difficult for gardens.